Y'all, not Joe McCann waltzing out of Zanzibar a free man, while Ashlee Janae's mother is still staring at a screen she will never get an answer from. Many of you are saying that even though his legal team is trying to paint a calm, clean, cooperative picture, the family Joe was supposed to be marrying into is absolutely shattered that his lawyer is letting all of their private grief out into the open. Speaking of letting things out, I actually tracked down the exact statement that supposedly explains away the silence. And baby, when I tell you it falls apart the second you hold it up to the light, it falls apart. Let me put the receipt on the screen. Hold on. I got it straight from the TMZ wire and from the legal filing his attorney pushed out, so we are not guessing here. The statement says, and I am paraphrasing the spirit of it now, that Ashlee's mother, Yolanda, reached out to Joe after the night in April when Ashlee died in Tanzania, and that despite being completely shattered by the loss of his fiancé, Joe still managed to respond promptly and respectfully and appropriately. And then, supposedly, Yolanda never answered him back, so he simply let the silence speak and respected the family's space. That is the version they want you to swallow. Okay, fine, right. But y'all, I think I have actually figured out what is really going on underneath that polished little paragraph. Listen to me. Hold on. 'Cause this is, I think, the part nobody is connecting. If you do not know how this kind of corporate grief PR works, let me walk you through a quick trip down memory lane. Whenever a young woman dies in a foreign country, in a hotel room, with only one person of interest in the building, there is a playbook. The playbook never changes. Step 1, you release the body. Step 2, you release the passport. Step 3, you release a statement painting the surviving partner as a heartbroken angel who tried, who reached out, who was met with cold silence from a family that just refuses to accept the truth. And step 4, you whisper the word suicide loud enough so that the public files it away and moves on with their day. That is the playbook. That is exactly the script Joe's team is running right now, page by page, line by line. And the audience this video is for, the family nation, the mamas, the aunties, the big sisters, the girlfriends who have been around long enough to spot a setup. We are not buying a single comma of it. Not one comma. So here is what we know for a fact, not what we are speculating, what we know. Ashlee Janae, a beautiful young woman, an influencer, a daughter, somebody's whole entire world, traveled across an ocean with the man who promised her forever. She did not come home. He did. Authorities in Tanzania ruled her death a suicide. Joe was questioned. His passport was held. And now, weeks later, that same passport has been slid back across the table to him. And he is on a plane heading to what his lawyer is calling an undisclosed location somewhere in the United States. An undisclosed location. Let that phrase sit on your tongue for a minute. The man whose fiancé died on his watch is being protected, geographically protected, from the family who buried her. Read that again. He is being hidden from the people who carried, raised, and loved her for 31 years. And we are supposed to feel sorry for him because his text message was left on read. Are you serious? Are you actually serious right now? Let me tell you something. I am 57 years old. I have lived. I have buried people. I have held people through grief that snapped their spine in half. So I know what I am talking about when I say this next part. Being left on read by a grieving mother is not an insult. It is not a dismissal. It is not a slight against you. It is a woman whose entire universe has just collapsed sitting on the floor of a bedroom that still smells like her child, holding a phone she does not have the strength to lift. Do you understand that? Do you understand what you are asking her to do? You are asking her to perform for you. You are asking the woman who carried Ashlee for 9 months, who pushed her into this world, who walked her into kindergarten, who held her through every fever, every heartbreak, every milestone. You are asking that woman to type back to you the man who came home without her daughter. And when she does not, you and your attorney run to a celebrity tabloid and act like she ghosted a boyfriend at brunch. Be so for real right now. Be so for real. Now let me play devil's advocate. I am going to put on the other hat for just a second, because that is what we do in this room. We turn the story all the way around so nobody can say we were unfair. Maybe Joe is genuinely grieving. Maybe he is sitting somewhere in the dark right now wondering how on earth a long-awaited engagement trip ended with him riding home alone with a luggage tag still tied to her suitcase. Maybe. I will give him the maybe. But here is where the maybe breaks. A man who is genuinely grieving does not communicate through a lawyer. A man who is genuinely grieving does not hire a publicist to issue statements about his appropriate text message etiquette. A man who is genuinely grieving picks up the phone. He gets on a plane. He flies to that mother. He sits on her porch. He sits on her steps. He sits in her driveway in the rain if he has to. He says, "Mom, I know I am the last person you want to see, but I owe you the truth, all of it, every minute of that night, and I will sit here until you tell me to leave." That is grief. The other thing, the thing with the lawyer and the press release and the undisclosed vicinity, that is not grief. That is a strategy. There is a difference. There is a galaxy of difference. And every grown woman watching this knows exactly what I am talking about. Let me tell you a story. I had a friend, a beautiful soul of a friend, who was supposed to be my chief bridesmaid all those years ago. I had not laid eyes on her in over a year because life had pulled us in different directions, the way life does. And then one afternoon I got the call that her father had transitioned. He was gone. And the woman that walked into that grief was not the woman that I knew. She metamorphosed in front of me, in front of all of us. She did not leave her house. She did not pick up the phone. She did not answer the door. For months, I would walk to her place, slide envelopes under the door, leave hot meals on the porch, tape little notes on the frame that said, "I love you. I am here. I am not going anywhere. Take your time. Take all the time you need." I never expected a single reply. Not one. Because I understood, even then, when I was a much younger woman than I am today, I understood that grief is not a conversation. Grief is a country you go to alone. Some people come back from that country, and some people do not. My job was to keep the light on at the border, so she knew the road home was still open. That is what love does. That is what real, actual, grown human love does when somebody is shattered. And then, almost a year to the day later, on the morning I was literally walking out of my house to fly to California to get married, my phone rang. It was her. She said 3 words. "I miss you." And I said, "Baby girl, I am getting married tomorrow." And do you know what that woman did? She got on the next flight. She showed up. She zipped me into my dress. She held my bouquet. She walked down the aisle in front of me like she had never been gone at all. Because the people who love you wait for you. They do not run to TMZ when you stop replying. They wait. They sit at the door. They keep the porch light on. Joe McCann did not do that. Joe McCann sent one message, and when it did not get the response he wanted, he turned around and let his attorney tell the entire planet that the bereaved mother of his dead fiancé is being cold to him. Wow. Just wow. The audacity. The unadulterated audacity of that move. I am almost impressed by how brazen it is. Now, let me pull us back to the receipts, because I never want you to think I am just up here emotional. I am emotional, and I have the paperwork. The lawyer, whose name is Edward Andrew Palazzicchi, told TMZ that Yolanda texted Joe asking what happened on the night in April after her daughter died in Tanzania. Read that line slowly. The mother had to text the boyfriend to ask what happened to her child. Not the police. Not the embassy. Not the resort. Him. Because that is who was in the room. That is who was in the country. That is who was on the trip. He is the witness. He is the only living witness as far as we know. And his answer, by his own attorney's admission, was prompt and appropriate. Prompt and appropriate. Listen to that wording. That is courtroom language. That is the language of a man who is already preparing a defense before there is a charge. A grieving fiancé does not get described as prompt and appropriate. A grieving fiancé does not get adjectives at all. He gets sobs. He gets silence. He gets unfinished sentences. He gets phone calls that go on for 40 minutes where nobody actually says anything because nobody can. Prompt and appropriate is what you write on a performance review. It is not what you write about the worst night of a man's life. So the wording itself is the tell. The wording is the entire confession, sitting right there in plain English, and his own lawyer typed it out. And then there is the next part that really gets me. The statement says Yolanda did not respond after that, and so Joe, being the gentleman he is, chose not to follow up, in order to respect the family's silence and give them space to grieve. Pause. Breathe. Take that in. Respect the family's silence. A child is dead. A daughter is in a refrigerated drawer halfway around the world. Her mother has not slept, has not eaten, has not blinked. And you, the man who was the very last person to look her in the eyes, you decided the loving thing to do was nothing. You decided silence was a gift. You decided your absence was a kindness. Brother, Your absence is the entire problem. Your absence is exactly why she did not write back. Your absence is the reason a 31-year-old beautiful island girl is not on a plane right now coming home to her mother's kitchen. You should have been calling every single day. Every single day. Twice. 3 times. Voicemails. Pictures. Videos. The flowers she liked. The earrings she was wearing. The book on her nightstand. The lip gloss in her bag. You should have been a fountain of memory pouring into that family until they had to ask you to slow down. Not once. Not one text. And then you ran to a celebrity blog to complain. The audacity is biblical at this point. It is biblical. I know what some of you are about to type in the comments. You are about to say, Mama, you do not know what he is going through. You are right. I do not. I do not know what it feels like to be the last person to see a partner alive. I do not know what kind of trauma is sitting on his chest tonight. I will grant him that. But trauma does not hire a lawyer to issue press statements. Trauma does not coordinate with TMZ. Trauma does not move to an undisclosed vicinity. Trauma stumbles. Trauma fumbles. Trauma calls the wrong people at the wrong times. Trauma shows up at the funeral home anyway, even when they told you not to come, because you cannot help yourself, because you have to see her one more time. The behavior we are watching is not the behavior of a traumatized man. It is the behavior of a managed man. There is somebody in a corner office somewhere right now telling him exactly when to speak, exactly when to be silent, exactly which words to use, exactly which words to never, ever say out loud. And that, family, is what we are reading between every single line of that TMZ statement. We are not reading Joe. We are reading Joe's team. There is a difference. Now let me take you on another quick memory lane stop, because the pattern matters. Pay attention to the pattern. When a story like this breaks, the first wave of public sympathy almost always goes to the surviving partner. It is human nature. We do not want to believe that the man who put a ring on her finger was anything other than devastated by her loss. So we extend grace. We give the benefit of the doubt. We say things like, oh, we do not know the whole story. Oh, let us not rush to judgment. Oh, he is a grieving fiancé. And then the second wave hits. The second wave is when the timeline starts coming out. The second wave is when the receipts start dropping. The second wave is when somebody close to the deceased starts speaking, quietly at first, then louder, then on camera. And the second wave is always, always, always where the truth lives. We are right at the edge of the second wave with Joe McCANN. The passport release is just the first ripple. Trust me on this. Trust your auntie. The next 60 days are going to be very, very loud. Because here is the other thing that the lawyer's statement told on itself. It said Ashlee's family has always had Joe's contact information and could have reached out whenever they wanted, but they never did. Excuse me? Excuse me, sir. The family had your contact information so they could chase down the man who came home without their daughter? The family had your contact information because that is the bare minimum of being engaged to somebody, knowing how to reach the person they love. That is not a defense. That is a confession that you put the burden of communication on a grieving family instead of on yourself. You knew where she lived. You knew her mother's name. You knew her father's name. His name is Harry, by the way, for anybody keeping track. You knew the front door. You could have walked up that front door. You did not. And then your attorney is going to stand at a press microphone and tell the world that they could have called you. Sir, do you hear yourself? Do you read your own statements before they go out? Or is that also being managed for you? Let me play devil's advocate one more time, because I promised I would be fair. Let me actually put myself in Yolanda's shoes for a minute, because that is the missing perspective in every news outlet covering this story. If I were Yolanda, I would absolutely be reaching out. I would be reaching out every hour. I would be calling the resort. I would be calling the front desk. I would be calling the cleaning staff. I would be calling the embassy in Dar es Salaam. I would want to know what she ate that night, what she was wearing, what perfume was on the dresser, what book was open on the nightstand, whether the curtains were drawn, whether the door was locked from the inside. I would want the security footage from the hallway. I would want the room key entry log. I would want to know who came and went. I would want the hotel manager on the phone. I would want the camera on the front desk turned around so I could see the lobby with my own eyes. I would want every receipt, every charge, every signature. I would want the entire room recreated in front of me. Where are her clothes? Where is her phone? Where is her charger? Where is her perfume? Where is the lip balm she always kept in her left pocket? Where is the journal she had been writing in since she was 13? I want it all. I want every single thing she touched in the last 48 hours of her life. I would not eat. I would not sleep. I would not stop. I would be on a plane. I would be in that hallway. I would be in that lobby. I would be standing at that front desk demanding answers in 3 languages until somebody gave them to me. So when this attorney goes on television and says the family could have called but they did not, what he is really saying is, we counted on them being too broken to investigate. We counted on them being too polite to dig. We counted on the geography. We counted on the language barrier. We counted on the time difference. We counted on grief doing the work for us. That is what he is really saying. Read it twice. Read it 3 times. That entire statement is a quiet little victory lap dressed up as condolences. And that is why we are doing this episode tonight. That is why we are not letting this one slip through the cracks. Because somebody has to say it out loud. Somebody has to be in this corner for the girl. Let me say her name one more time. Ashlee Janae. Ashlee Janae. A young woman, an influencer, a daughter, a beautiful island girl, a 31-year-old human being with a future she had already started decorating. She had a wedding to plan. She had a dress she had not picked. She had a date she had not chosen. She had vows she had not written. She had children she had not had. She had a life she had not lived. And now she is gone, and the man she chose to do all of that with is hopping a flight to an undisclosed vicinity. Say her name. Ashlee Janae. Do not let her become a hashtag and a headline and a footnote. Do not let her become another beautiful young woman who died in a hotel room in a country she was visiting because her partner said it would be the trip of a lifetime. Say her name. Print it on a t-shirt if you have to. We will not let her be forgotten in this room. Now, here's the part that really bothers me. Authorities are currently saying that Ashlee died by suicide. I am going to slow down here because I want to be very, very careful with my words. I am not a forensic investigator. I am not a coroner. I am not law enforcement. I am a woman with eyes and ears and a lifetime of watching how these stories go. So all I will say is this. Suicide is a determination. It is not a fingerprint. It is a conclusion that gets reached based on what investigators are willing to look at and what they are willing to ignore. There are entire countries with entire tourism economies that have a vested interest in not flagging a death in a high-end resort as anything other than a self-inflicted tragedy. I am not pointing at any specific country. I am pointing at a global pattern that anybody who has read more than 3 of these stories already knows about. The family, the actual family, the family that carried this woman and raised her and knows her better than any investigator with a clipboard, has the right to a second autopsy. They have the right to an independent toxicology panel. They have the right to a private pathologist. They have the right to demand the room be photographed from every angle. And if the United States autopsy that is happening on American soil right now is not released to the public, or at the very least to a panel of independent experts the family trusts, we will never, ever know what happened in that room. We will never know. And that is by design. That is not an accident. Somebody is going to come into the comments and say, but Mama, will it bring Ashlee back? And the answer is no. Of course no. Nothing will bring Ashlee back. That is not the point. That has never been the point. The point is that her name belongs to her, her story belongs to her family, and her death is not allowed to be quietly rebranded by a public relations firm and an attorney with a press contact list. The point is that other women, beautiful young women all over the world right now, are getting on planes with their fiancés tonight, tomorrow, this weekend, and they deserve to know what the patterns look like before they ever board. The point is that Yolanda deserves to be able to bury her daughter knowing exactly what happened in that room. The point is that Harry deserves to walk through the rest of his life without that question sitting on his chest like a piano. The point is that Ashlee deserves a story that is told by the people who loved her, not by the people who survived her. That is the point. That is always the point. I had another friend, and I have told this story before in pieces, but I am going to tell it again because it fits. I had another friend who lost her son. A long time ago. Years. And for the first 6 months after he passed, she would reach for the phone whenever something happened. Anything. A funny commercial. A bird on the windowsill. A news story. A song on the radio. She would reach for the phone, and her thumb would already be hovering over his name, and then she would freeze. And I would watch her freeze. Right in the middle of a sentence. Right in the middle of a sip of coffee. Right in the middle of dinner. She would freeze. And every single time, You could see her face fall, because she had to remember all over again that the person on the other end of that phone call was not going to pick up. He was never going to pick up. That, my friends, is grief. That is what we are asking Yolanda to do right now. Reach for the phone. Watch her hand hover over Ashlee's name. Watch her freeze. And then go on Joe's social, where he is somehow alive enough to be changing his profile picture on Twitter, and answer his polite little check-in text. With what energy? With what hands? With what part of her soul is left to do that? It is an absurd ask. It is an inhuman ask. And then to get publicly framed for not doing it. Wow. Wow. Let me say something about Joe being so beautifully active on social media in the middle of all this, because I want this on the record. We have all seen the screenshots. We have all seen the activity. We have all seen the profile updates, the little fonts changes, the cropped selfies, the carefully curated air of a man who is, quote, processing, while the family of his fiancé is on the floor, while her mother cannot lift a fork, while her father is calling the embassy for the 7th time, while her sisters are scrolling through her old voicemails just to hear her say their names. Joe is on the Bird app changing his banner. Joe is on Instagram archiving stories. Joe is doing whatever a man does on his phone when he is, quote, devastated. Listen, if he had the time, the bandwidth, the Wi-Fi, and the emotional capacity to update his profile photo, he had the time, the bandwidth, the Wi-Fi, and the emotional capacity to send a daily message to Yolanda. Period. End of paragraph. There is no third option there. So let us stop pretending this is a man too crushed to communicate. He is communicating constantly, just not to the people who needed it. And here is where I want to talk directly to Joe for a second. Joe, if you are watching this, and somebody on your team probably is, because we are at a certain stage in the algorithm now, listen to me. You promised her. You promised her parents. You promised her sisters. You promised her best friend. You promised her hairstylist. You promised her nail tech. You promised her favorite barista. You promised the entire orbit of people around her that you would protect her, that you would take care of her, that you would grow old with her, that the two of you would have children and raise those children and watch those children have children. You did not even make it down the aisle, Joe. You did not even make it to the dress fitting. You did not even make it to the cake tasting. And now you want a press release. Now you want public sympathy. Now you want an undisclosed vicinity. Sir, no. Respectfully, with all the love and the side eye I can muster in a single sentence, no. You do not get a press release. You owe a press conference. There is a difference. There is a galaxy of difference. A press release is when you sit behind your lawyer and let him stutter your statement for you. A press conference is when you stand at the microphone yourself and you take every question, and you do not flinch, and you do not pivot, and you do not coordinate with the room, and you do not have an exit. That is what an innocent grieving fiancé does. He stands in the wind. He takes the questions. He says her name out loud, on camera, with shaking hands. And he tells the entire planet exactly what he saw, and exactly what he did, and exactly what he tried to do. He does not vanish to an undisclosed location. Vanishing is for guilty men and witness protection. Pick which one you are, Joe. Pick which one you are, because the rest of us already have. Now let me bring it back to the family for a minute, because I have been hard on Joe, and I will continue to be hard on Joe, but I do not ever want you to forget who this episode is actually about. This episode is about Harry. This episode is about Yolanda. This episode is about Ashlee's sisters, her cousins, her best friends, the little nieces and nephews who keep asking when Annie Ashlee is coming home and getting answers that the grown-ups cannot finish saying out loud. This episode is about that family. They did not ask for any of this. They did not sign up to be on TMZ. They did not sign up for the GoFundMe. They did not sign up to have strangers like me commentating on their daughter's last hours from behind a microphone. They wanted a wedding. They wanted a Sunday dinner with a new son-in-law at the head of the table. They wanted grandchildren. They wanted normal. And normal got taken from them in a hotel room halfway around the world. So when we are loud in this corner, when we are passionate, when we are turning every single phrase from that attorney's statement inside out to see what is hiding in the lining, we are doing it for them. Not for clicks. Not for clout. For them. I want to talk for a second about what a real apology to a grieving family looks like, because I think a lot of younger viewers in this audience have never seen one in their lives. A real apology is not a statement issued through a celebrity tabloid. A real apology is not an unprompted social media post. A real apology is showing up to the front door with nothing in your hands but the truth. A real apology is letting that mother slap you across the face if she needs to, and not flinching, and not pressing charges, and not even putting your hand up to block it, because you know what she lost, and you know that the bruise on your face is nothing compared to the hole in her chest. A real apology is sitting on the floor of her living room and answering every question, no matter how many times she asks it, no matter how many ways she asks it, no matter how the answers contradict each other, no matter how badly you come off, no matter how much it makes you look like the worst version of yourself, because the truth is the only currency that family has left, and you owe them every coin. That is a real apology. Joe has not given one. He has given a press release. There is, again, a galaxy of difference. Let me bring it back to the lawyer's statement one more time, because there is one line in there that I cannot stop thinking about. The statement said Joe understands the family is grieving and may not be ready to accept what authorities currently believe happened, that Ashlee died by suicide. Read that sentence again. Joe understands. The family is grieving. May not be ready to accept what authorities currently believe. That sentence is a masterpiece of legal hedging. Every single phrase in it has a purpose. Joe understands tells you the lawyer wants Joe to look sympathetic. The family is grieving tells you the lawyer is acknowledging just enough emotion to seem human. May not be ready to accept tells you the lawyer is preemptively painting the family as in denial, as unreliable narrators, as people whose future statements should be discounted because, hey, they are just grieving. And what authorities currently believe tells you the lawyer is leaning all the way into the suicide ruling, because that ruling is the foundation of everything else they are going to say. That sentence is not condolences. That sentence is a load-bearing wall in a legal defense. And we caught it. We caught it because we read carefully in this corner. We read every single word. I want to say something to anybody listening to this who is in a relationship right now that does not feel right. I know we sometimes go a little long on these episodes, and I know some of you are watching this on your second screen while you fold laundry or do dishes, but I need you to stop for 30 seconds. Look at me. If you are with someone who isolates you from your family, even gently, even sweetly, even with what sounds like love, that is a flag. If you are with someone who makes the trips, picks the destinations, books the hotels, controls the itineraries, and you do not have a copy of your own travel documents in your own bag, that is a flag. If you are with someone who would rather let his attorney speak to your mother than pick up the phone himself, that is a flag. If you are with someone who, when you fight, makes you feel like the reason is always you, always your tone, always your timing, always your emotions, always your sensitivity, that is a flag. Beautiful island girls all over the world right now are getting on planes with men like that. And if even one of you watching this tonight pauses, even for a second, before you book that next flight, then this episode has done its job. Even one would be enough. Because here is the part one keep coming back to. Ashlee was somebody's daughter. Ashlee is still somebody's daughter. Death does not undo that. Yolanda will be Ashlee's mother every single day for the rest of her life. Harry will be Ashlee's father every single day for the rest of his life. They wake up tomorrow as her parents. They wake up the day after that as her parents. They wake up in 20 years as her parents. The job does not stop. And right now, today, on this Friday, or whatever day you are watching this, their job, their last job for her, is to make sure nobody gets to rewrite her ending. Nobody. Not the resort. Not the attorney. Not the publicist. Not the local police. Not the foreign authorities. Not the cable news cycle. Nobody. And our job, the family nation, the people in this corner, is to back them up. We back them up. We say her name. We read the statements. We catch the hedging. We point at the patterns. We keep the porch light on at the border. That is what we do. So where do we go from here? I am going to tell you exactly where we go. We watch for the next move. We watch for the second autopsy results. We watch for the family's official statement. Because I promise you, it is coming, and when it comes it is going to land like a meteor. We watch for the texts. There are always texts. There are always voice notes. There are always voicemails. There are always little clips. There are always group chat screenshots. There are always girlfriends who saved messages just in case. The truth has a way of arriving in pieces, the way light comes through a cracked window, a little at a time, until the whole room is bright. We watch for that. We do not let this story slide off the front page because some attorney decided to issue a statement with the word appropriate in it. We do not let the algorithm bury this girl. We keep her name in our mouths. Ashlee Janae, beautiful island girl, 31 years old, loved by a mother named Yolanda and a father named Harry and a circle of women who knew the real her, not the one any press release is going to draw for you. Before I let you go, I want to say one more thing, because I always say it, and I am going to keep saying it. If you, or somebody you love, is sitting in a dark place tonight, if you are in crisis, if you are thinking thoughts that scare you, if you are tired in a way that sleep does not fix, please pick up the phone. Call or text 988. There are real people on the other end of that line. Real human beings whose entire job is to sit with you, listen to you, and walk you back from the edge. You are not a burden. You are not alone. You are not a hashtag. You are not a headline. You are somebody's whole entire world, even if you cannot feel it tonight. Please call. Please text. Please reach out. We need you here. The family nation needs you here. And to Yolanda, if by some chain of shared friends and reposted videos this ever finds its way to your screen, sister, mother, queen, I want you to know that there is an entire room of strangers across this country and across this planet who are sitting with you tonight. We are not in your living room. We are not on your sofa. We cannot bring you tea. We cannot rub your back. But we see you. We see the phone in your hand. We see the screen you cannot bring yourself to unlock. We see the kitchen you have not cooked in. We see the chair at the table that is going to stay empty no matter how many people sit in this house this week. We see all of it. We see you. And we are not going to let anybody tell your daughter's story for you. Not a lawyer. Not a tabloid. Not a foreign police report. Not a TMZ headline. Not a press release from an undisclosed location. Nobody. Your daughter's story belongs to her, and after her, to you. We are simply going to stand at the edge of your driveway with the porch light on, every single night, until you are ready to come outside. So that is where we are tonight, family. Joe McCANN is free. Free to fly. Free to land. Free to vanish into an undisclosed corner of the country. Free to update his profile photo. Free to issue statements. Free to be described, in print, as prompt and appropriate. Ashlee Janae is not free. Ashlee Janae is in a refrigerated drawer somewhere waiting for a second autopsy that may or may not be made public. That is the imbalance. That is the entire reason this episode exists. Because the world will keep moving for Joe. The world has, in fact, already started moving for Joe. And our job in this room is to make sure the world does not move on from Ashlee. Not yet. Not today. Not while there are still questions on the table. Not while the wording in that attorney's statement still sounds like a defense brief in a tuxedo. Not while there is a mother sitting on her bedroom floor staring at a phone she cannot lift. Not yet. So tell me in the comments. Did you read the statement the way I read it? Did you catch the hedging? Did you catch the wording? Did you catch the prompt and appropriate? Did your stomach turn the way mine did when you read undisclosed vicinity? Are you with the family on this one? Or are you somewhere in the middle? I am not going to be in the middle on this one. I am all the way on one side of the room, and I am not moving. Tell me where you are. Tell me what you saw. Tell me what you think is going to come out next. Because something is coming out next. I feel it. The way the air gets heavy before a storm rolls in off the water, that is the air around this story right now. Something is coming. Make sure you are subscribed so you do not miss it when it lands. And before I go, please, please, do me one favor. Hit the like button. Hit the subscribe button. Tap the little bell so the notifications actually reach you, because the algorithm has been very, very weird this month, and I do not want you to miss the next episode, because the next episode is going to matter. Share this video with the woman in your life who never thinks twice before getting on a plane with somebody. Share it with the daughter, the sister, the cousin, the best friend. Share it with the auntie who always says, "Baby, slow down. I just want to meet him first." Share it with the mother who is currently watching her own daughter pack a suitcase for a trip she does not love the look of. Share it. Print this one out and slide it under doors if you have to. Because this is not just a story about Joe and Ashlee. This is a story about every Ashlee who has not boarded her flight yet. And we are in this corner for her too. All of them. Every single one. One last thing before I sign off, because I would not be doing my job if I let you walk away without it. There is a quiet detail in this whole story that almost nobody is talking about, and I want to be the one to put it on your radar tonight. The detail is this. Joe reached out, by his own attorney's admission, exactly one time. One single time. He sent a message saying Ashlee had been taken to the hospital and that she was, quote, okay. And then nothing. Then silence. Then a passport hearing. Then a press strategy. Now read that one more time. He told the family she was okay. Okay. That word does a lot of work in that sentence. Either he genuinely believed she was going to make it, which would mean the situation looked survivable when he made that call, which raises questions about what happened in the window between okay and gone, or he knew she was not okay and softened it for the family, which is a kind of cruelty I do not have the vocabulary to describe. Either reading of that single text is devastating. Either reading. There is no version of okay that comes out clean in this story. None. So when you are sitting with this tomorrow, and the day after that, and the day after that, hold that word in your mouth. Okay. It is the smallest word in the entire timeline, and it is doing the most weightlifting. That is the kind of detail this room exists for. That is the kind of detail the lawyers and the publicists are counting on you to scroll right past. Do not scroll past it. Sit with it. Turn it over. Show it to your friends. Bring it up at brunch. Bring it up in your group chat. Keep the word okay in circulation until somebody in a position of authority has to come back and explain it. That is how stories like this stay alive long enough for the truth to catch up. That is the assignment. Take the assignment seriously. I love you. I love this room. I love that you stayed all the way to the end of this one, because I know it was a long one and I know it was a heavy one. I am going to see you sooner than later. Take care of yourselves out there. Eat your salads. Mind your business. Drink your water. Check on the mamas in your life. Call your daughters. Text your sisters. Pull up to the porch of the friend who has gone quiet. And just sit there, even if she does not open the door. Be the person you wish somebody had been for Ashlee. Be that person for somebody tonight. And for Yolanda, and Harry, and every single human being who loved that beautiful island girl, we are with you. We are with you. We are with you. All of my love. All of it. Every drop. Until next time, my darling family nation. Keep her name on your lips. Keep the porch light on. Keep the questions coming. Keep showing up for the women in your life, especially the ones who have gone quiet. Be the soft place somebody can land tonight. Be the auntie who picks up at 3 a.m. Be a friend who slides notes under doors. Be the corner that does not move when the world walks on. That is the legacy we build here, one episode at a time.